Hi, I'm Ciara, and this is What the Fuckle, where I answer your questions about the Irish language. In this video, I'm going to be comparing Saol na Gaeilge to Harry Potter. So, Saol na Gaeilge is a term used to describe the world of Irish, meaning people who speak Irish and I suppose their communities, their society, and how they relate to each other and function together. But people know the word Saol to mean life. So, Saol na Gaeilge they might think means the life of Irish. But Saol is one of those words, like many words, that doesn't directly translate or doesn't translate to have one meaning in another language. So it means life, yes, but it also means like a way of life or a society or that kind of thing. Another word that is like that is I'm sure, because I'm sure it means weather and everyone knows it to mean weather, but it also means time. So if you say like, I'm sure Moige, the time of my youth, I'm sure Vosh, the time of his death, etc., etc. So, Saol na Gaeilge, how is it similar to Harry Potter? The first thing is the Hogwarts Express. What is the Hogwarts Express in Irish language terms? Of course, it's the train down to the Gaeltacht. So the first experience that a lot of people have with Irish, outside of the classroom, outside of the education system, is the Gaeltacht, or the summer camps that are held in different Gaeltachti around the country. And what happens usually is that you get a letter. You can apply, but you get the letter from the Gaeltacht saying you're going and you've gotten in, and there's a list of things you have to go out and buy. All your I don't know, O'Neill's back in my day. Go out and buy a rain jacket and like whatever else they tell you to bring down with you to the Gaeltacht. So that's kind of similar to going into Diagon Alley, even if it's just pennies. And then after you've gotten all your things, your parents would often bring you to the train station. And so for me growing up, my two sisters would have gone to the Gaeltacht before me, and I'd see all this happening and all this excitement, and they'd go off down west, and I'd be like Ginny in the train station, like wishing I could go with them, and my parents would be saying, yeah, when you're old enough you can go. So when you was about 12 or 13, I finally got to go to the Gaeltacht, and there was girls, and there was boys, and there was dancing, and there was songs, and there was houses, and yeah, it's just like Hogwarts, except instead of magic you learn Irish. Then there's names. So in Harry Potter you have like Luna Lovegood, Cornelius Fudge, Nymphadora Tonks, all these mad names that Muggles wouldn't usually use. And it's similar in Irish language circles. So I came in, like Ciara is an Irish name, but it's a common enough one. And I started meeting people with all these amazing names like Siún, Corhach, Rianach, Ariel, things I'd never heard before. The reason that it's first names more than second names is people still have their Irish surnames. They might be anglicised, but you'd recognise them. Like, say, I'm trying to think of one, like Nolan. You'd recognise, when you hear O'Neilan, it's not that crazy to your ear, like, because you're familiar with Nolan. If you have favourite Irish names or favourite names that you've come across, send them to me on Twitter, because I always love to hear good new names. And my sister's pregnant and we're looking for new names. Then there's the divisions. So Muggles, half-bloods, pure-bloods, all of this. I heard the term Muggles from a friend of mine who plays on an Irish-speaking football team called the Gaeilgeoirí, and he said when they play against other teams who don't speak Irish, like maybe some individuals would on the team, but the whole team generally is just an English-speaking team. When they play against them, they call them Muggles, which is so funny. So Muggles are people who don't speak Irish. Maybe you speak another language, maybe you only speak English. Doesn't matter, you're a Muggle. And then that would make me Muggle-born. So, like Hermione Granger, I was born to a family that didn't have Irish growing up. So even though my parents, if they're watching this, I love you, Mum and Dad, you're really nice about Irish, but I wasn't brought up with Irish. So then my parents are always wondering what I'm getting up to, because they're not familiar with the world of Irish, Saol na Gaeilge. Then there's half-blood. So of course, Harry Potter himself is a half-blood. And I'd say a half-blood is anyone who speaks Irish but doesn't have like pure Gaeilge na Gaeltacht or like Irish from the Gaeltacht. Look, I'm just saying all this is a piece of crack. I know there's all these different distinctions and some people get offended by them, and like rightly so, everyone has their own identity, but I'm just kind of trying to describe the different forms of people in Saol na Gaeilge using these terms. So then if you're a half-blood, you might not have been brought up with Irish, or you might have been brought up with it in a different kind of background, but you're not pure bloods. So then there are pure bloods, and they are Caintóirí Dúchais, Caintóirí Gaeltachta, people who spoke Irish first, before they spoke English, people who, like, not necessarily all of these things, but a lot of these things. And similar to Harry Potter, the Gaeilgeoirí dúchais, or the purebloods, muinte na Gaeltachta, there's all different types of people like that. So there's people like the Malfoys.
Filthy little mudblood.
And there's people like the Weasleys.
Dad loves muggles. Thinks they're fascinating.
There's people who welcome newcomers, and there's people who look down on them, probably. Then there's the Gaeilge celebs. So the same way in Harry Potter that we have Gilderoy Lockhart, the Weird Sisters, and all these special celebrities that are only to do with the magical world, in the Irish-speaking world, there's all of these celebrities who we see on our TVs and we look up to and we listen to, but they're not necessarily known about outside of the Irish language community to the same extent. So, but then when we see them, like, we get really excited because they're our version of like a huge, somebody that you listen to every morning on the radio, or somebody that you watch on the TV all the time. Cunran na Gaeilge at number 6 Harcourt Street is Grimold Place. It's an old building full of ghosts. It's in the middle of the city centre, but people walk past it every single day without even knowing it's there. Basically, you have to already know that it's there for you to be able to see it. And once you go inside, there's like a hidden club in there, and it has its own rules and aims, and it it looks quite like Grimold Place as well. I'll put a picture up on the screen. And finally, the invisibility cloak. Just like Harry has an invisibility cloak, you can have an invisibility cloak too if you speak Irish. All you have to do is try and speak to the government using your own language, and usually they'll ignore you and it'll be like you're totally invisible. Or if you want to try a different version, maybe post a letter using your address in Irish, and they won't even be able to find your house. I know it's a bit salty, but it's true. So that has been the world of Irish, Saol na Gaeilge compared to Harry Potter. I hope you enjoyed it and I explained things a little bit for you. This has been What the Fuckle for this week, where I answer your questions about the Irish language, and if you have any questions you'd like me to answer, please get in touch.